Hello, welcome to Valerian Bay. My name's Suzanne and I'm so pleased that you're here today. So we're going to be talking today about whether bad thoughts make you a bad person. So all those thoughts that come in where they might be angry, you might be angry towards somebody else in your head, you might be having thoughts of doing something that you feel is morally incorrect, you may be anxious, you may have fear, all sorts of different things that your brain presents to you. We're going to talk about what that looks like, why you get those thoughts, and through this process of today's video, I'm going to give you 5 top tips to help you with this specific category. So you are not your thoughts. What does this mean? How can you not be your thoughts? Well, your thoughts are actually just your brain processing everything that's going on. And it does this through generalization, deletion, and distortion. So it's taking in millions of pieces of information and filtering that information through those 3 things, so that it can start to store and understand whether it's something that you want to know, need to know, or don't need to know at all, which will be the deletion. It's just chucking it out. And you'll know from your thoughts or from your dreams that your brain can process that in quite unusual ways, especially if you've woken up from a really bizarre and surreal dream. That's your brain processing all sorts of information. And your brain is amazing and wonderful for being able to actually do this. And it doesn't necessarily make sense. So your thoughts flow through your mind like a river. And so the little nuances of information might be floating down that river like sticks, but the mistake that we make, or the mistake that our psyche makes and our ego makes, is that it grabs one of those sticks and it goes, what is this event that has happened? And instead of letting it flow on and going, that is not in this moment anymore, it is past, it can go, our ego aspect, which really wants to keep us safe, grabs hold of that so that it can analyze it and it can actually give meaning to it. Now, that's not necessarily always required. And it's this process of grabbing some sort of event in your mind or some sort of thought and giving meaning to it that we then get stuck with that. And it can start to dictate our life as we go forward. So we might have had a thought about something years and years and years ago. Maybe an event happened or somebody said something, and we don't like them forever now because they've done that one thing and we've decided that represents the whole of who they are. So what is the key to letting go of these negative thoughts and recognizing that our ego is actually just trying to keep us safe and putting us into what might be a defensive situation by grabbing onto these thoughts? So it puts us into maybe a fight, flight, freeze, flop, or fawn process once it starts to dig into what this is. And again, it's all about trying to keep us safe. Sometimes it's totally unnecessary. We are surrounded by different information coming at us at a really fast rate. And how do we manage the process of observing our thoughts rather than absorbing them and letting them rule us? So we really don't want to let our thoughts rule us because they are not who we are. The core essence of who we are isn't what's going on in our brain. And we have so many inputs that it can become overwhelming. So with social media, TV, news, different emotional TV shows, different foods, different stimulants such as coffee and sugar, our brain takes all of this in, and when we're watching certain shows, our brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what's not real. So if we see something that's quite scary, our biology will start to release certain chemicals to support the fact that that's real. So with everything that we've got coming at us through social media, through TV, through the news, through different foods, through different stimulants, we can be releasing things like cortisol, adrenaline, dopamine, oxytocin, and our bodies become overwhelmed as well. So it's no wonder that we don't have some bad thoughts flying around there, because we can get quite ungrounded with all of that, and it can be just totally overwhelming for our psyches and the biology of our body to cope with. And just also, as an addition to that, good super excitement can be as stressful on the body sometimes as negative stress, because it's putting pressure on, it's releasing different chemicals to deal with what's going on, instead of staying in a place of peace. So how do we start to ease this process? Well, I wanted to share something with you called Shinto. And Shinto is a Japanese religion that's got 4 ideals that I thought were really, really useful. Now, this isn't all about the entirety of Shinto, but I wanted to take some of these ideals to share them with you, because I think they're really helpful in the process of not having negative thoughts. Now, these aren't even the 5 tips I was going to give you, so stay tuned, because we'll talk about this and then I'll go into the further 5 tips. So, what does Shinto include? So the first ideal of Shinto is clean. So it's clean, bright, straight and right, which I think is quite nice to remember. So clean means being pure of heart and mind. So that would be observing the thoughts that are coming through and letting those run past you and living from a heart space. It also, from my perspective, means keeping your energy nice and clean. So you might want to use dried sage to burn for smudging around you, which I think is quite a well-known concept at the minute. You might want to keep your thoughts in a nice clear space. So trying to, if you're having lots of negative thoughts, just try to think of something lovely. And one thing I often do if I'm feeling quite negative, I'll think about something that I really love in life. So it might be a pet. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll have seen my little dog Luna. If I'm feeling in a bad place, I'll switch my thoughts to thinking about something like Luna, or something. I play the violin as well, so that brings me a lot of joy. I might think about that instead. So start to think about things that bring you joy in your heart if you're thinking about negative things, because that energy will start to attract different things to you. So if you're negative all the time and you're not pure of heart and mind, in the sense that you've got negative aspects, you'll start to draw negative things to you. So you want to stay in a good state so that you can make the right decisions at a soul level, in happiness and in joy. So that is one tip there. So the next one is bright, which is about clarity, positivity and spirituality. So the clean and bright together can be all about filling yourself with light, imagining yourself filled with light, and being lifting yourself as much as you can out of being grumpy. So almost like shake it off and brush yourself off, to try and encourage yourself as much as possible to just be a bit cheery. And one thing that's been mentioned before, if you sit and you smile on purpose, even if you feel rubbish or not very happy or angry, sit and smile, and it starts to release different positive chemicals and hormones and things in your body, which will actually make you feel happier. Also, if you move So maybe if you dance, or even if you just shake about a bit, that does help to release tension and will lift your mood. They might sound unusual, but I suggest giving them a go and see how you feel, because they do work and they're really good. So the next concept is straight, which means to act with integrity, honesty, and uprightness. So trying to act morally, to do the things that are good, and to be truthful, and to make choices of what you think a good person would be like. So behave like a good person and all that you consider a good person to be. And the fourth one is right, which ties in again a little bit with straight. So it's about being your authentic self, sincere and honest. And some of these things can be quite difficult. Even being honest with yourself can be quite hard sometimes. So we're going to have a look in the next 5 tips about how to bring these into being even more, and actual actions you can take to help you support with this notion. But clean, bright, straight and right is a really helpful little phrase to remember to help you stay on the path of positivity, integrity and honesty, and being in alignment with your true core self. So, thinking without awareness is the main dilemma of human existence. This is a great quote from Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. And in this, he talks about witnessing a lady talking to herself angrily out loud. And she got so absorbed in what had happened, and he didn't know what had happened, but it was some event that she'd been through, that she was just talking about what she'd say, and she got completely lost in her own anger, that she was completely unaware of everything around her, which is a perfect case in point. Observe your thoughts, don't absorb them. She was totally absorbed rather than observing what was going on. So how do we start to do this? Well, meditation is an absolutely wonderful method and process of self-awareness. And it's only through self-awareness that we can actually grow as a soul, and start to become progressive, and to learn, and to start to move forward, which is what we're here for on the earth. So just sit quietly for 5 minutes to absorb your thoughts each day, and that will be of huge benefit instantly, to sit without judgment and just to see your thoughts flow, and just to observe them and to let them pass you by. And by watching that, you'll start to get true information from your higher self come through, because you'll have disassociated yourself from all that logical processing, so that you can start to see what that looks like. We'll address getting in touch with your higher self in a different video, so do subscribe to my channel. Click on the subscribe button now and the little bell icon, just so that you know when the videos are coming through and so that you don't miss anything. Another really important part of this aspect around your thoughts is that we can do journaling. Now, this is a really good way of processing the energy through. So if you haven't got a therapist or somebody to speak to on a regular basis where you can just get all this thought out, journaling on a daily basis helps such a huge amount, because you can write it all down without judgment. So just get it all out, whatever you're thinking and feeling, whether you think it's good or bad, and it just helps to process. And it's like clearing out the engine of a car, like giving it an oil change. We just get all that out so that it cleanses, and you can then run more smoothly. And the morning is a good time to do this, so that you can get out all of the processing that your brain has done while you've been asleep, because it's busy organising and putting everything in its right place and coming up with different things. So there's a lot to clear out. Now, the next thing to consider when you're about whether the type of thoughts that you're having is, what are the sensory inputs that are going into you? So what are you watching? Who are you spending time with? Where are you? So if you're in a place where there's lots and lots of people and you're quite a sensitive person, you might want to cleanse your energy after that. Again, we can use the smudging, the dried sage, just to smudge your energy, because if you're with people, for example, if you're out shopping, you might be around lots of people who are actually having money problems, and that anxiety and concern when they're bumping into you, you can pick that up a little bit like a sponge if you're not careful. So or for example, if you're at a sports game and maybe the team that you're with has lost, all that energy of those people feeling sad, you can absorb that. And so your environment is very, very important. Again, I will make another different video to talk about how to cleanse your energy fully, but I just wanted you to consider all these different sensory inputs and where you're placing yourself. Also consider the different conversations you're having with people. Are you spending time with people who are quite negative, or are you spending time with people who are quite bright and light in their energy? Are they light-hearted and cheery? And then also consider, what TV programs are you watching? So if you're watching too much of something like the news, which is constantly throwing information at you about bad things happening in the world, things that you can't actually take control of usually, so it can make you feel quite like a victim, or you can feel quite upset and you can feel a lot of different emotions for what's going on out there, but you can't take any action, which is really, really difficult. Just consider if you need to watch less of the news, if you need to watch less programs that are causing you to feel emotionally stimulated, just to calm your system down. Next, we're going to talk about diet. So too much sugar, too much caffeine can make you agitated, it can make you angry, it can make you anxious. If you're on different medications, check to see if they affect your moods. Just be mindful of what you're putting into your body. Too much or too little can have an effect. So also consider if you're not eating enough. So if you're maybe hungry and your blood sugar's dropping, you can get what we call hunger, because your body is grumpy. It's starting to need more fuel to be at that higher positive energy. So if you're not fueled properly, your energy will be low and you will be in a worse mood. Finally, let's talk about intention. So a bad thought only makes you a bad person if you take action to hurt someone on purpose. And different religions will discuss this. And there are certain religions that will talk about not having bad thoughts, and this is part of what we're going to do. This is part of what we're doing here. We're talking about how to have happier, more positive thoughts. So just make the choice to have good intentions with integrity, kindness, and morality. So you could do something that's really simple, like you could say to yourself, for today I choose peace, so that all the actions you take and thoughts you have are related to peace, and you can keep recalibrating yourself back to that very simple statement as you go through your day, and just keep reminding yourself that is where you are being. You're going to choose peace, whatever that looks like. Simplify your life where you can, so that you can actually choose your actions without reacting, so that your responses and thoughts are mindful without just being so overwrought with and overwhelmed with life that you react suddenly. So just simplify. You can choose other ones, but the choosing peace is a really helpful one, which will help to calm your system down, help to calm your mind down, and it will help to bring happier and healthier thoughts. So if you'd like to work with me one-to-one, and you've enjoyed what we've talked about today, there are a huge amount of subjects that I cover. But generally, if you'd like to be more in alignment with your true soul essence, or if you'd like to manifest your dreams, whether that's a new career or a new lifestyle altogether, or if you want to ready yourself to bring your soulmate relationship in, or to resolve childhood issues that are preventing you from moving forward, anything like that, just pop onto my website, which is www.valerianbay.co.uk, and go on to the Get in Touch page, and you can fill in a form there, and we can have a free conversation about how we can work together to start bringing in whatever you need, to start removing limiting beliefs, and just to make a happier and more joyful, more empowered, freer, and better you. Okay, thank you for watching today. Have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Take care. Goodbye.